Hi, I'm Dr. David Smith, and this is your occasional tip of the week. We're going to talk about fleas and ticks today. Of course, fleas we talked about infantinitum, so we really don't need to talk about them anymore. We do want to talk about this tick. It's not an insect. It's related to the spider. It's actually an arachnid. And these things are nasty. And they have 3 stages, which is very, very important. First of all, the larvae. They hatch out of the egg. They're very, very tiny. You can barely see them, look like about a speck of pepper. And those have to get on and off your dog. And then the next stage is the nymph. The nymph is the one that's most famous because it's a very tiny tick, and it is the one that transmits Lyme disease. And then after the nymph gets off, it becomes an adult and has to get back on your dog and ingest the blood again, and then at that point it will fall off, go up your walls, and lay eggs. So we don't want any of that to happen to your house. So we have a number of products that have been proposed for ticks. And I've been asked this question a number of times this week, so that's why we brought this up. First of all, there's something called Revolution. It's ticks, heartworm, and fleas for dogs. It is okay for fleas. It's very good for heartworm. Not so good for ticks. If you happen to have Revolution and you have a tick problem, the company will provide you with this collar. It's called a Preventic collar. It's actually the #1 best thing for ticks on the dog. It has to touch the skin. It has a product in it called Amitraz, which is a very potent tick killer. Unfortunately, it smells, so you have to deal with the smell. It's very toxic, so you have to be very careful with it. You don't want kids playing with it. You don't want to make sure that your cats are around licking it or anything like that. But it does kill ticks very readily. Next, of course, is Frontline. Frontline comes in 2 forms. One is a spray, one is a spot-on. It does kill ticks and fleas very well when it's fresh. That's the key. Ticks are harder to kill than fleas. So if Frontline is 3 weeks in or 4 weeks in on the dog, it's probably not going to kill a whole lot of ticks. The spray you can spray on, it's a higher concentration, same product. It will kill ticks as well, but again, after a couple of weeks, not as good. Then we have this new collar, and we've never really advocated the flea tick collars, and certainly the ones in the pet stores are pretty much valueless as far as I can see. But the Excalibur collar seems to be also a good one. The problem with this is that it is a terrifically long lead time. So let's say you have tons of ticks on your dog and your house is full of ticks. Well, you put this on and maybe in a couple of months the ticks will start falling off, but a lot of times we don't wait that long. So we do use it for long-term use, but I still like the Preventic collar, and actually what I'll do is I'll use the Preventic collar along with the Frontline in combination. It kills ticks very well. Treating the house is most important. Once you have ticks on the dog, and they have been, or cat, and cats do get ticks, but you don't see them very often because the cats clean themselves and remove the ticks. But the fact is, if you have ticks on the dog and they're consistently on the dog, you have to treat the house. And if you do treat the house, you really need to have an exterminator that will come back, because anybody that's worth their salt will tell you it takes 1, 2, maybe 3 times treating for ticks, whereas maybe once you can treat for fleas. So it really requires somebody that's going to stick with you and be professional and continue treating. And of course, again, the insecticide that's used is quite potent. Last thought, people ask me, shall I treat outside? Shall I treat the trees? Shall I treat the grass? I think it's just a waste of money. You treat and then it rains. Instantly your stuff's gone, it's diluted, it's not going to kill anything. The ticks live up. They usually live up in trees, especially pine trees. They have very deep bark that they can hide in. And I don't think that you can get enough insecticide anywhere in a bunch of trees that's going to do any good whatsoever. So again, you're going to go back to maybe the collar with the Frontline, maybe the Excalibur, but treat the house, and that's very important. So that's my little information on ticks. If you have any questions, give me a call at 366-2275. I'd be happy to talk to you. This is Dr. David Smith, Baylor Animal Hospital, and this was our occasional tip of the week.